how do you make money out of this?
Sure.
What is your revenue stream in that sense?
So the money goes from the bank to the customer when they borrow the money, and we get a commission from the bank.
Okay. So that means the cost of borrowing for the person should be higher than when he borrows directly from the bank. So how are you able to afford it at a lower rate?
It should be lower because the operating cost of this whole process is...
But you are tied up with the bank, which
Correct.
does have the cost already loaded in their infrastructure cost.
No, so we have basically the way the bank operates, and I can walk you through the bank's cost structure, but basically the bank has a cost of capital. On top of that, they have a cost of acquiring the customer, which we have eliminated.
Okay.
We have taken that cost, right? And then on top of that, they have a cost of transaction, which we have reduced to zero, right? So we still take the cost of acquiring the customer because we have gone and gotten the customer, but the transaction cost is zero. So anyway, to give you the real answer, with the one partner bank that we have launched, the interest rates range from about 15 to 19% for unsecured. Compare this against a credit card, which is 40%.
So you're comparing your the term of reference, the point of reference is the credit card credit, and not the normal credit, which normally a person will borrow at 12% or 14% from
So
the bank.
12% is only if you have secured. Remember, this is an unsecured product, right? So the lowest interest rate for unsecured, again, there are all kinds of fees and hidden charges. I can go into it. But an unsecured product, this is a bank product. So this is the nominal average interest rate of the bank.
Okay.
If you're a super good customer, obviously you can have a slightly lower interest rate.
Sure.
If you're bad, you might be at 21, 22. But basically they operate in that zone between 15 and 22, banks and NBFCs.
Thank you. Understandable.
Sure.
Sir, this session is about the financial inclusion
Sure.
of the bottom of the pyramid.
Yes.
And when we say bottom of the pyramid, about 30 crore persons, which are known as below poverty line, having $1 income, that is the definition of the Niti Aayog and the Planning Commission. And those are the persons who are landless, living in the villages, and they don't have any account. They always depend on the local money lender to whom they can approach, even for 500 or 1,000 rupees or 2,000 rupees, 24 hours. That is the convenience. So how do you, and your product is not meant for that bottom of the pyramid.
No.
You are talking about 5 lakh. They don't require 5 lakh.
So the product starts at 25,000 rupees.
No, see, you tell me any bottom of the pyramid require 5 lakh?
25,000?
अरे क्या 25,000 तो बहुत ही ज़्यादा है.
You know, we do 25,000. So
हाँ,
about
तो
50.
No, your product is basically not for that bottom of the pyramid. जिसको रोटी राटी का लाभ है, जिसके पास खाना नहीं है, उसके लिए नहीं है. What technology innovation can be done? That is my question to you. So that financial, we can include those 30 crore persons in the financial inclusion.
Yeah.
चाहे उसका consumption loan हो, चाहे उसका कोई livelihood के लिए हो, कोई उसने अपना काम करना हो, चीज उसको मिल जाए, एक दिन में, 2 दिन में.
So there are.
Okay, let me just
there
answer this question. So the short answer is today we are not for the bottom of the pyramid. You're right. But about 50% of our customers are 25,000 rupees. Right? The 5 lakh is just one example I showed you. So we are not at the bottom of the pyramid, but that's where we need to go. Right? So our direction, so today the credit is available only to the top elite. So we are not solving the bottom of the pyramid, but we are solving the lower middle class first. Right? The question is, where do you start? As a startup, right? I'm not a non-profit entity. I have to run a company. So you need to go to where I can get a customer. So the eventual goal is to go to the bottom of the pyramid. But today we are not there. But today we are there in the lower middle class. Anybody making from 15,000 rupees per month and above, that's our target segment. If you make 15,000 rupees, maybe you'll get a 25,000 rupee credit line. So we're able to start somewhere, and that's our starting point. We'll get there, not now.
Yeah, so there are, just to add to the gentleman's question, there are some startups like Kiva, I don't know if you heard about them, that they are supposed to be here, but they could not, we invited them. they actually lend loans globally to the lowermost or the bottom of the pyramid, like, $4, $5. Like, they give about $20 to a local village vendor. And these are funded by a crowdfunded. Like, I sitting in US can lend $5 to a small business in Thailand or in Bangladesh. So Kiva is one of those mechanisms where they do the micro lending, like, at very low amounts, and they charge very, very little interest. And this is done through, they load a prepaid debit card. There are ways we can do. So there are certain startups who actually cater to that need. So the idea is to give one example, and MoneyTap has this particular segment which they targeted. Now they could go down below or go up. It depends on the economics and what the business model is. But there are other startup companies who are actually focusing on that.
Yeah. Hey, Bala. Somebody else.
Yeah, I have a question. Firstly, I think MoneyTap is a very interesting innovation. It's one of those kind of innovation, in my view, that once you have it, you feel that why wasn't it there already, right? So it's that kind of innovation. So hats off to you. So the question is, usually credit, when it is underwritten, they usually it's like balance sheet. It's as on that day, you take it in a certain period of 30 days, otherwise it lapses. So how are you able to extract this credit undersigning for a long period of time, say 24 months or beyond?
Yeah, it's a schedule. It's set up as an app, so that we can track the customer. We can, but we do evaluate the customer based on their stability. So we take a number of factors about the customer to evaluate the credit.
So is there any cap on until which this is applicable? As in, it's 24 months, 36 months. Is there any cap to that?
So right now the cap is basically determined by the RBI rules on KYC, which is 3 years. But of course, if there is some other bad behavior, somebody defaults on a loan, the bank has the right to stop it. But it's too early to tell. I haven't seen any of those cases yet.
Just one question, please. Yeah, here. Hey, Bala. So it seems to me that, as you go down, the app itself may be a challenge, because we are currently at 300 million smartphones. We are looking at going below 300 million actually user base, number one. Number two, the form filling seems like it's okay, but education will be a challenge. So even if you go to Hindi or regional languages, do you know if people are working on audio inputs for Indian languages? Because unless we have audio inputs for Indian languages working, this is not going the way you want to.
So, people are working on it. And we will see those problems. And I'd be very happy if I see those problems, because that means that we have cracked enough of the segment. The surprising thing to me is that there are only 1.4 crore people who are being served. So there is everybody else, right? So we will start going down. Our direction is very clear, right? For example, there is no iPhone app, and not, that is not our direction. We need to go to a lower and lower segment. But there are 350 people million people with smartphones, right? So these are very big numbers. In a lending case, these are all just very, very big numbers. Even if you give 25,000 rupees, there is a serious amount of money that has to back all of this, right? So the challenge in this business is basically also to convince the banks. So my biggest challenge is not to get customers. That's easy to do, because we're giving flexible money. You keep it in your pocket, take it whenever you want, take it as cash, take it as card, don't pay any interest. It's not a very hard sell to an average person to understand. Right? It is money, so everybody understands money. The difficult part is in convincing the bankers, right? KYC is okay, e-KYC is okay, going through all the legal things, because they're the ones who have to supply the money, and they are the ones who have to take a risk. So it's a kind of an educational process. But anyway, to answer your specific question on audio, absolutely we need to go there. And I do think that's going to play a big part. We're experimenting with a little bit of that, like in terms of explaining the product, because it's not we need to educate it. There's a lot of education involved.